So, good morning, friends. Today's lecture will be on Bertolt Brecht and his epic theatre. I am Dr. Jasmeet Singh from Rishi Bankim Chandra College for Women, Naihati. It's in West Bengal. So, we will be dealing with epic theatre, which was the brainchild of Bertolt Brecht. Now, as we know, Bertolt Brecht wrote a particular book called Short Organum. Now, it was written in 1948, and the book opens with a prologue that announces that this particular book of Brecht was concerned with theatre for a scientific age. This book is made up of 77 short numbered sections. In section 19, Brecht uses the phrase "a new science," which is his first allusion to Marxism in the text. And let me tell you, Bertolt Brecht was inspired by Marxism. So in section 19, he uses the phrase "a new science," which is a very implicit allusion. He is not very overt about it. खुल के वो आपको नहीं बता रहे हैं कि ये मार्क्सिज्म के बारे में है, लेकिन this is a kind of an implicit allusion to Marxism in the text. In section 45, he is a more overt. ठीक है? Now this is the section in which he comes out. In fact, he uses the word called materialist dialectics. ठीक है? And here he is more overt when he associates the new social science with materialist dialectics, and we come to know that he is actually inspired by Marxism. Brecht was inspired by Marxism and its ideas. He considered Marxism as a way of looking at the world through the philosophical term dialectics. Now, we will definitely come to the term dialectics. The most interesting part of this particular book, A Short Organum, is that in the 77 sections that we have mentioned, Brecht, though he was influenced by Marxism, never mentions Marxism in Short Organum. He does not use the word Marxism in his Short Organum, though when you read Short Organum, you find that he is influenced by Marxism. उन्होंने Marxism ये जो शब्द है, उसका इस्तेमाल कहीं भी इस 77 sections में नहीं किया है. He never mentions, but when you read the text, particularly section 19, section 45, you feel that he was influenced by Marxism, and particularly when he uses the word dialectics, materialism. Okay. Now, the question naturally arises, why does he not refer to the term Marxism in this particular book called A Short Organum? उन्होंने Marxism या Marx ये जो words हैं, उसका इस्तेमाल अपनी किताब में क्यों नहीं किया? इसके what are the reasons behind it? So according to me, I believe Brecht might be of the opinion that his readers, point number one, his readers might be averse to the term. It might be the case कि उनके readers को इस term से, Marxism word से परहेज है, उनको पसंद नहीं है. So his readers might be averse to the term. This is the first reason. The second reason is his Marxism was neither dogmatic nor orthodox. Mane, Brecht was trying to show that the Marxism that he follows is not something which is a stable concept. It is not a fixed concept. It is one which is evolving with time. It is one which changes. It is not fixed. It is not dogmatic. Neither is it orthodox. So these are the two reasons which I feel why Brecht does not use the word Marxism in his A Short Organum. Okay, so the first reason was his readers might be averse to the term, उनको शायद ये term पसंद ना हो, और दूसरा वो ये बताने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि the kind of Marxism that I am trying to follow is not fixed. It does not have a stable concept. It evolves through time. ठीक है, वो चलता रहता है, वो change होता रहता है. तो it is neither dogmatic nor orthodox. Now the second question which arises is, कि why Marxism? Why does Brecht choose Marxism? इसके भी कारण है. What are the reasons behind using or choosing Marxism? Point number one is Marxism addresses inequalities in society and proposes ways of overcoming them. इसका मतलब है कि मार्क्सिज्म सिर्फ समाज में इनइक्वालिटीज के बारे में बात नहीं करता है, वो आपको सुझाव भी देता है कि कैसे आप इनइक्वालिटीज से बाहर निकल सकते हैं. दिस इज द फर्स्ट रीजन. सेकेंड रीजन ये भी है कि मार्क्सिज्म डज नॉट टॉक अबाउट रिफॉर्मिंग एन ऑलरेडी फ्लॉड सिस्टम, that is capitalism, but Marxism is about fashioning a new and a better system, that is socialism. माने suppose if I say कि हमारे समाज में कुछ खराबी है, तो being a Marxist my idea would be to create a new system altogether. जो समाज में खराबी है मैं उसको सुधारना नहीं चाहता, मैं उसको निकालना चाहता हूं और उसकी जगह पे एक नया समाज बनाना चाहता हूं. तो मार्क्सिज्म इज नॉट बेस्ड ऑन रिफॉर्मिंग एन ऑलरेडी फ्लॉड सिस्टम, दैट इज कैपिटलिज्म, बट फैशनिंग अ न्यू एंड अ बेटर वन, दैट इज सोशलिज्म. सो मार्क्सिज्म टॉक्स अबाउट अ कंप्लीट ओवरहॉल ऑफ अ पर्टिकुलर सिस्टम. मुझे ठीक नहीं करना है, मुझे पूरा चेंज करना है, एक नया सिस्टम लाना है. ठीक है. Or Marxism also talks of dialectics, and this is also one of the reasons why Brecht chooses Marxism, because this hope for change is based on the understanding of dialectics. Now these are the three reasons why Brecht actually chooses Marxism, was influenced by Marxism. Now we need to understand in our next slide ki what do we mean by dialectics. We have been talking about dialectics from slide number 1 itself. What is dialectics? For a basic understanding, dialectics is actually a mechanism that accounts for why things change in history and society. Okay? For a proper understanding, we need to know कि a particular dialysis comprises 3 parts. एक dialectics में 3 parts होते हैं. The first one is thesis. The second one is the antithesis, and the last one is a synthesis. So a dialectics is comprised of 3 parts: a thesis, an antithesis, and a synthesis. And we need to remember that the relationship between a thesis and an antithesis is one of contradiction. Contradiction का मतलब होता है कि इनके बीच में एक फ्रिक्शन होता है. अगर आप थीसिस का मतलब सास को समझें और एंटीथेसिस का मतलब बहू को समझें, तो द रिलेशनशिप दैट एग्जिस्ट्स बिटवीन अ मदर इन लॉ एंड अ डॉटर इन लॉ इन एन इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट is definitely a relation, in some of the cases though, is definitely one of contradiction. So the thesis for your proper understanding can be the mother-in-law, and an antithesis is the daughter-in-law. So there is always a contradiction in the relationship that exists between a thesis and an antithesis, and after this friction comes a synthesis, a kind of a solution. Okay, so the third point in this particular slide is the relationship between the thesis and antithesis is one of contradiction, and when the contradiction becomes too great, elements of thesis and elements of antithesis form a new entity, the synthesis. Okay, now we move on to the next slide. Now this synthesis is now a new thesis. What do we mean by this? As I told you, the society does not end at a particular period. It goes on changing. So we have a thesis, we have an antithesis, we come to a conclusion, that is a thesis, but then the use of the word conclusion is not appropriate in this particular sense, but this synthesis now becomes the new thesis. It will again have an antithesis, and again we will be having a synthesis. This is the way in which society moves. Society is always evolving. Society does not have an end. So जो नया synthesis निकलेगा वो आपका नया आइडिया बन जाएगा, नया thesis बन जाएगा. ठीक है. To give you an example of dialectics is, suppose the French Revolution can be seen as an example of Dialectics. France, as we know, was ruled by aristocracy before 1789. अब 1789 के पहले फ्रांस में किंग, क्वीन ये लोग रूल कर रहे थे. There was a kind of an aristocracy in France. But over time, a new group emerges in France, जिसको हम लोग merchant class कह सकते हैं, middle class कह सकते हैं. Now, this middle class, this merchant class has money but do not possess power. So aristocracy was the thesis, and now we have a new antithesis, that is the merchant class. Now this merchant class is fighting against aristocracy to gain power. As I told you, the relationship between a thesis and an antithesis is one of contradiction, and ultimately synthesis क्या निकलता है यहाँ से? There is a clash between those who were born to positions of power and those who have worked their way up but have very little say in the running of France. So on the one hand you have aristocracy, the thesis. On the other hand you have the middle class or the merchant class, the antithesis. And ultimately what is the synthesis? The synthesis is the revolution itself. और उसके बाद वाला जो समाज था, that is what synthesis is. ठीक है, it is the revolution itself and the new order that follows. But we need to remember that history does not stop here. Because the dialectic never stopped, because this synthesis, this new society becomes the new thesis. So the dialectical view of human identity suggests that we are in a constant dialogue with our surroundings. The society is evolving and we human beings are also evolving along with our society. We are also changing along with our society. And we need to remember that Brechtian theatre wants to foreground this change. The change that has come in society, the change that has come in a particular human being over time. And it is this change that will emphasize the difference that has come upon you through time. ठीक है, आज आप जो हैं, आज से 4 दिन बाद, 5 दिन बाद, या इनफैक्ट कल आप में थोड़े बदलाव होंगे. Change is permanent. Change हमेशा होता रहता है. And this change that brings about a difference, this is the thing that Brecht was trying to emphasize in his epic theatre. ठीक है, so the dialectical view of human identity suggests that we are in a constant dialogue with our surroundings. So that is what dialectics is. Now the question is, why dialectics? क्यों dialectics का इस्तेमाल क्यों किया जा रहा है? We need to remember कि usually जब हम लोग कुछ देखते हैं, कोई नाटक खेला जाता है या कोई नाटक जब हम लोग देखने जाते हैं, तो इट गिव्स अस एन अपीयरेंस कि सोसाइटी ऐसी ही है, इसको आप चेंज नहीं कर सकते हैं, समाज ऐसे ही चलता है. लेकिन डायलेक्टिक्स का इस्तेमाल करने के बाद ब्रेक्ट ये बताने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि नथिंग इज एवर फिक्स्ड एंड दिस आइडिया कैन बिकम पॉलिटिकल इफ वी फाइंड आवरसेल्व्स इन अ सोसाइटी दैट इज ऑप्रेसिव और unjust. There will be ways to change it. हमें बताया जाता है कि ऐसे ही चलता है, तो आप इसके बारे में ज्यादा ना सोचें. लेकिन ब्रेक्ट ये बताने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि the society can be oppressive or unjust, but there are definitely ways to change it despite appearances to the contrary. So this is the first reason why dialectics is used. The second reason why dialectics is used is dialectics never promises a happy ending. In fact, the concept of an ending itself is undialectical. अगर आप ध्यान से सोचेंगे तो हम लोगों ने पहले भी कहा था कि समाज कंटिन्यूअली इवॉल्व होता है. उसमें समाज, it is not the case that after a particular time the society comes to a halt or an end. There is no ending in society. The society is continually evolving. So the concept of an ending itself is undialectical. डायलेक्टिक्स में कभी एंडिंग आता ही नहीं है, हैप्पी एंडिंग तो दूर की बात है. ठीक है, डायलेक्टिक्स कभी भी आपको ये नहीं बोलता है कि यहां पर खत्म होता है, क्योंकि डायलेक्टिक्स का मतलब है जो हमेशा चलता ही रहता है. इट्स लाइक द वाटर दैट फ्लोज इन द रिवर, कंटिन्यूअली मूविंग. ठीक है, तो डायलेक्टिक्स डू नॉट प्रॉमिस अ हैप्पी एंडिंग. इनफैक्ट द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ एन एंडिंग इज इटसेल्फ अनडायलेक्टिकल. थर्ड पॉइंट ये भी है कि डायलेक्टिक्स इज नॉट प्रेडिक्टेबल. नाउ सपोज you have a thesis which was aristocracy, you have an antithesis which was a merchant class, which ultimately resulted in a synthesis, that is the French Revolution. Now French Revolution synthesis क्या होगा ये किसी को भी नहीं पता है, इट्स नॉट प्रेडिक्टेबल, लेकिन एक आशा होती है, एक होप होता है कि कुछ अच्छा होगा. सो डायलेक्टिक्स प्रेडिक्टेबल नहीं है, डायलेक्टिक्स इज नॉट प्रेडिक्टेबल, बट द प्रोस्पेक्ट ऑफ चेंज इज समथिंग दैट ऑफर्स होप, क्योंकि एक आशा होती है कि शायद ऐसा करेंगे तो इसका सिंथेसिस ये निकलेगा. वो उसी आशा की वजह से हम लोग डायलेक्टिक्स का इस्तेमाल करते हैं. So this is the third point. Dialectics is not predictable, but the prospect of change is something that offers hope. Now, there was a Greek philosopher by the name of Heraclitus, and he once quite famously said that one can never put one's foot into the same stream twice. And this sums up what dialectics is. आप जब नदी के किनारे जाते हैं और अपना पाँव पानी में डुबोते हैं, या पहाड़ों में जाते हैं, या झरने के सामने खड़े होते हैं, तो जिस पानी में आप पाँव डालते हैं, थोड़ी देर बाद जब आप उसी पानी में फिर से पाँव डालेंगे तो आपको ये याद रखना है कि इससे पहले जब आपने पाँव डाला था जिस पानी में, वो पानी ऑलरेडी मूव कर चुका है. ये वही पानी नहीं है जो दूसरी बार जिस पे आप पाँव डाल रहे हैं. सो वन कैन नेवर पुट वंस फुट इनटू द सेम स्ट्रीम ट्वाइस. तो डायलेक्टिक्स भी वैसा है, कंटिन्यूअली चेंज हो रहा है, इट इज नॉट प्रेडिक्टेबल, लेकिन उसके साथ एक आशा भी है कि हो सकता है कि जो सिंथेसिस निकलेगा वो अच्छा होगा. तो इसीलिए डायलेक्टिक्स का इस्तेमाल किया जाता है. नाउ व्हाट इज ब्रेक्ट टीचिंग एक्चुअली? We need to remember, if you go through the plays of Brecht, you will find that Brecht does not moralize. He does not tell you what is right, what is wrong. And he will never give you ready-made answers to the questions his plays pose. If you have read any of his plays, you will find that he will not provide you answers. He will give you suggestions, and he does not moralize too. He will never tell you that this is right or that is wrong. He wants his audience to think dialectically. He is inviting us to think beyond the individual and to consider the individual's place in the greater social scheme of things. माने Brecht is not concerned with a particular individual. अगर आप मदर कोरेज भी पढ़ेंगे तो it is not about mother courage. It is about something that is beyond mother courage. As an individual, we all have certain eccentricities. We all have some sort of an individuality. My nature is definitely different from my father's nature or a person residing in my neighborhood. So as an individual, we are definitely different, but Brecht is not trying to focus on a particular individual. He is inviting us to think beyond the individual. That means we need to see the broader picture. Each and every individual in our society is connected by that particular broader concern. हम सबको अगर कुछ जोड़ता है तो वो है रोटी, कपड़ा, मकान. And in this particular present scenario, each and every one of us are fighting against corona. We are trying to help each other by putting up Facebook posts on blood banks or plasma. So we are moving beyond the individual. Our concerns are the same. So beyond the individual, हम सबके concerns वही हैं. सबको रोटी चाहिए, कपड़ा चाहिए, मकान चाहिए, jobs चाहिए. तो Brechtian play is not about a particular individual. He wants to take his audience beyond that particular individual and to consider the individual's place in the greater social scheme of things. And he wanted to teach his audience to think dialectically. He wants his spectators to be surprised by what they see on stage. And spectators are expected to be active when they process the material on stage. It is not the case that we are sitting in a particular class, and this usually happened in the history class in my school particularly, कि history का class चल रहा है और हम लोग पीछे बैठ के बात कर रहे हैं. We are not interested in the class. The spectators are expected to be active in a Brechtian theatre. In fact, if I use the term spec-actors, which Augusto Boal actually used, that means the spectators are also kind of an actors. They are active. In fact, Augusto Boal was also influenced by Brecht. So spectators are expected to be active when they process the material on stage. Usually when we read Shakespearean plays or plays written by Henrik Ibsen, G.B. Shaw, Sophocles, you will find that these particular plays tend to focus their attention on characters. The characters are very important, and in fact, in our classroom teaching also, while teaching Macbeth, we focus on the character of Macbeth, the character of Lady Macbeth, character of Banquo, the witches. Brecht is not concerned with characters. Brecht focuses on situations and how situations inform, affect and transform characters. ब्रेक्ट को स्पेसिफिक सिचुएशंस एम्फसाइज करने में ज्यादा मजा आता था, बिकॉज कैरेक्टर्स उस सिचुएशंस पे रिस्पॉन्ड करते हैं. आज हमारे सामने कोरोना की सिचुएशन है, तो एज अ पर्टिकुलर इंडिविजुअल वी आर फोकसिंग आवर एनर्जी, आवर टाइम, डिवोटिंग आवर टाइम टू काइंड ऑफ फाइट दैट पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन. So the situation is very important because it is the situation which makes a particular character respond to it. The character changes according to the situation. So Brecht, on the contrary, does not focus on characters. He is rather focusing on situations and on how situations inform, affect and transform characters. Now, in a dialectical world, characters do not exist outside society and are very much a part of it. The actions of the characters are dependent on their material concept. Let us take the example of Hamlet. In fact, most of us, as we know, Hamlet is a problem play. Troilus and Cressida is a problem play written by Shakespeare. अगर आप Hamlet के बारे में बात करें तो we, from our college days, we are quite concerned with that particular dilemma that Hamlet was in. Brecht gives us a kind of a solution to this particular dilemma of Hamlet. He tries to explain Hamlet's dilemma. He says that Brecht views Hamlet's dilemma as one produced by history and social context. Why is Hamlet in a dilemma? Answer क्या है इसका? We need to remember कि Hamlet के पिताजी का नाम था King Hamlet. The old Hamlet represents the old feudal order that had its own moral code based on social hierarchy. So King Hamlet belonged to the old feudal order. The new king, who is the uncle of Hamlet, the name of that particular king is Claudius, as we know. Now Claudius is representative of a new social order. So the concept of revenge, that the ghost of King Hamlet instigates Hamlet, his son, to take revenge. The concept of revenge, which is there in the old feudal order, does not work in the new social order. This new social order is represented by Claudius as well as Hamlet. And this is the reason why Hamlet is in a dilemma, because his father represented the old feudal order. So the concept of revenge that was there in the old feudal order does not work in a same manner in the new social order. And that is the reason why this dilemma persists in Hamlet. Claudius is the representative of a new social order that values individual deeds over collective ones and is a self-made man. Now Claudius has become king not through tradition, as we know that Claudius was the younger brother. So by tradition he could never have become the king. He becomes the king not through tradition but his own criminal activity. Both Hamlet and Claudius stand for the new emphasis on individuals' reason, but in different ways. Claudius violates the old order by murdering his brother for personal gain. Hamlet applies reason by resisting his father's call for revenge and the old way of doing things. So Hamlet is like a pendulum moving between the old and the new order, and this shift, this pendulum, this metaphor of a pendulum actually defines Hamlet's dilemma. Hamlet finds himself between the old and the new orders. So we can say that Hamlet, the text, the play, the drama that Shakespeare had actually written, is no longer only a personal tragedy, as we have been taught in our classroom teaching. It is not a personal tragedy, but one brought about by Hamlet's place in history, because he is confronted by two very different ways of dealing with revenge. So it is a particular specific situation that Hamlet reacts to, and this dilemma is actually the result or outcome of Hamlet's reaction to those two different orders that he is dealing with. So for Brecht, the specific situation is more important than a character, because character responds to that particular situation. Now we come to a next term called Wolfram-Dung's effect. As we know, what do we mean by Wolfram-Dung's effect? It means making the familiar strange. जो पहले हमें familiar लगता था, उसको ऐसे स्टेज के ऊपर प्रेजेंट किया जाएगा कि लगेगा अरे मैंने तो ऐसा कभी सोचा ही नहीं था. ठीक है, मेकिंग द familiar strange. It is about questioning things we take for granted. ठीक है, it is about questioning things we take for granted. Now the point here is this कि to give you an example from Brecht's own play, the name of the play is The Caucasian Chalk Circle. Now in the Caucasian Chalk Circle you have a servant. एक servant है, एक नौकर है जिसका नाम है Grusha, Grusha. Now Grusha becomes the surrogate mother to a royal child. ठीक है, एक बच्चे की वो सरोगेट मदर बनती है, और ये बच्चा मतलब किस परिवार का है? ही इज अ रॉयल चाइल्ड. हाउ डज शी बिकम द मदर? बिकॉज उस बच्चे की मां, हु इज द गवर्नर्स वाइफ, शी इज मोर कंसर्न्ड विथ हर मटेरियल पोजेशंस दैन हर ओन चाइल्ड. ठीक है, गवर्नर की जो वाइफ है उसको अपने बच्चे से उतना प्यार नहीं है जितना पैसे से है. तो जब वहां पे चारों तरफ अफरा तफरी फैल गई, देयर वाज अ केओस इन द सोसाइटी, तब गवर्नर की वाइफ अपने पर्सनल पोजीशंस को ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस देने लगी और बच्चे को उसने इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं दिया. तब बच्चे को किसने उठाया वहां से? इट वाज ग्रूशा. ठीक है, नाउ द पॉइंट इज दिस कि ग्रूशा जब देखती है कि बच्चा वहीं पर पड़ा हुआ है, समाज में केओस है, अब ग्रूशा के अंदर भी मैटरनल फीलिंग्स हैं, लेकिन उसके बावजूद वो स्टेज के ऊपर खड़े होकर ये सोचती है कि मैं इस बच्चे को उठाऊं या ना उठाऊं. ठीक है, हम लोगों को लग रहा होगा कि ये तो बड़ा सिंपल डिसीजन है, क्योंकि ग्रूशा एक नौकर है लेकिन है तो औरत, उसके अंदर जेंटल फीलिंग होंगी, तो बच्चे को उठाना तो नेचुरल है. लेकिन ग्रूशा does not turn her back on the child and ultimately she picks up the child. All the same, the time she takes shows that this is not a simple decision, because by doing good, बच्चे को वो उठा रही है, अच्छा काम कर रही है, she is putting herself in grave danger, लेकिन वो अपनी लाइफ को भी खतरे में डाल रही है. और यहीं पे दिस इज वन ऑफ द सेंट्रल कॉन्ट्राडिक्शंस ऑफ द प्ले. तो जो चीज हमें लगती है कि बड़ा नॉर्मल है, ग्रूशा को तो बच्चे को उठा ही लेना चाहिए था, लेकिन उसके बावजूद ग्रूशा वहां पे खड़े होके कई बार सोचती है कि बच्चे को उठाऊं कि ना उठाऊं. ठीक है, तो जो हम लोग ग्रांटेड ले लेते हैं उसको हमें क्वेश्चन करना है, क्यों ऐसा सोच रही है? ये तो नेचुरल है, वो भी उसके अंदर भी तो दया होनी चाहिए क्योंकि वो लड़की है, औरत है. So this is the thing that we have to question. It is about questioning things we take for granted. Wolfram-Dung's effect has a political thrust. It is not only about calling old assumptions into question, but creating a new understanding. ठीक है? Suppose कि हम लोग जब तुगलक पढ़ते हैं, जब तुगलक, गिरीश कर्नाड का तुगलक पढ़ते हैं, तो वहां पे वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द किंग कॉल्ड तुगलक, लेकिन समवेयर डाउन द लाइन वी आर ऑल्सो टॉकिंग अबाउट द कंटेम्पररी पॉलिटिकल सिचुएशन ऑफ आवर कंट्री. तुगलक समवेयर डाउन द लाइन उसका कंपैरिजन जवाहरलाल नेहरू के साथ भी होता है. ठीक है, तो ऐसा क्यों? अब डायरेक्टली अगर आप किसी पॉलिटिकल नेता के ऊपर कुछ लिखते हैं तो डेफिनेटली आपका प्ले तो चलेगा नहीं. तो इसलिए एक टेक्निक का इस्तेमाल किया जाता है, हिस्टोरिसाइजेशन कहा जाता है उसको. तो हिस्टोरिसाइजेशन में आपको हिस्ट्री से एक कैरेक्टर उठा के कंटेम्पररी सिचुएशंस के बारे में आपको समझाया जाएगा. इनफैक्ट तुगलक अगर आज भी दिखाया जाए तो आई थिंक इट विल बी रेलेवेंट इन आवर कंटेम्पररी पॉलिटिकल सिनेरियो टू. तो क्यों दिखाया जा रहा है? बिकॉज वी आर नॉट ओनली क्वेश्चनिंग Tughlaq's decisions in the past, but it creates a new understanding of our own society today. So it is not about calling old assumptions into question, but creating a new understanding. And Wolfram-Dung's effect, जिसको हम लोग V effect भी कहते हैं, it does not distance the audience from the play. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको नाटक देखते हुए कहीं दूर ले जाएगा, नाटक से दूर ले जाएगा, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. आपको familiar concepts से दूर लेके जाएगा. आपको जो आज तक लगता था कि अरे ये तो मैं जानता हूं, ये तो familiar है, ठीक है, इससे आपको दूर लेके जाएगा. आपको familiar चीज ऐसे दिखाई जाएगी, आपको लगेगा कि अरे मैंने तो पहले ऐसे कभी सोचा ही नहीं था. I haven't thought of it in this particular way. So V effect does not distance the audience from the play. It affects a distance of familiar concepts or conceptualization. Now, when we talk of realism, we need to understand that Brecht's plays are actually not a representation of reality. And this is very important. We are not talking of a representation of reality. It is a retelling of reality. Brecht's plays are a retelling of reality rather than a mere representation. His realism is not concerned with what appears to be happening, but what is really happening. माने Brecht's plays, अगर आप Brechtian play पढ़ते हैं तो आपको पता चलेगा, he is not concerned. उनका realism थोड़ा अलग है. उनका मानना है कि realism उनके लिए जो है वो ये है कि जो समाज में हो रहा है उसके बारे में हम लोग लिखेंगे, जो मुझे पता है, what is really happening. उसके ऊपर नहीं लिखेंगे जो हमें लगता है कि हो रहा है. What appears to be happening is not important. What is really happening? Suppose we are sitting, I am making this particular presentation sitting in West Bengal. Okay. Now, one of my aunt living in Delhi, she called me a week back and she told me, and she was quite concerned about me in West Bengal, because she told me that the media houses were telling them, the all India media houses were broadcasting or kind of showing on television that situation in West Bengal regarding corona is not great. Situation बिगड़ रही है. तो उनको ये लगता है कि यहाँ पे सिचुएशन बिगड़ रही है क्योंकि नेशनल मीडिया वो दिखा रहा है. लेकिन हमें जो यहाँ पर रहते हैं, हमें पता है कि हम यहाँ पे कैसे हैं. अभी भी सिचुएशन उतनी बिगड़ी नहीं है इन वेस्ट बंगाल. ठीक है. सो ब्रेक्ट इज नॉट कंसर्न विद व्हाट अपीयर्स टू बी हैपनिंग. ठीक है. मीडिया चैनल्स आपको ऐसा इमेज दिखाती हैं कि हमें लगता है कि शायद ऐसा हो रहा है. ब्रेक्ट इज नॉट कंसर्न विद दैट. ही इज कंसर्न विद व्हाट इज रियली हैपनिंग, जो सच में हो रहा है उसको दिखाना है. एंड वी नीड टू रिमेंबर कि रियलिज्म इज नॉट अ स्टाइल. एक्चुअली कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि रियलिज्म इज अ स्टाइल, नेचुरलिज्म इज अ स्टाइल. नो, realism is not a style, naturalism is not a style, it is a stance. एक stance है, एक stand है, एक positioning है, positioning of oneself towards reality. आप एक ही चीज को दूसरे नजरिए से देख रहे हैं. ठीक है. रियलिज्म भी हो सकता है, आपका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू नेचुरलिस्टिक भी हो सकता है. तो इट इज नॉट अ स्टाइल, it is actually a stance, a positioning of oneself towards reality. आप कॉइन को अगर खड़ा करते हैं तो कॉइन के इस तरफ जो खड़ा होगा वो टेल्स देख रहा होगा, और कॉइन के उस तरफ जो खड़ा होगा वो हेड्स देख रहा होगा. इट इज एक्चुअली अ पोजिशनिंग ऑफ वनसेल्फ टुवर्ड्स रियलिटी. आप जो कहते हैं वो भी सच है, वो आपका नजरिया है. मैं जो कहता हूं वो भी सच है, वो मेरा नजरिया है. तो इट इज नॉट अ स्टाइल. वी कैन नॉट से दैट ब्रेक्टियन स्टाइल. ऐसा नहीं है कि देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड ब्रेक्टियन स्टाइल. टू यूज द वर्ड स्टाइल इज समथिंग क्वाइट wrong. In fact, it is not a style, it is a stance. Realism is not a style but a stance, a positioning of oneself towards reality. Now, there are certain people who say that Brechtian theatre is a political theatre, and I would rather like to contradict that. Brechtian theatre is not a political theatre in the same light as Utpal Dutt's theatre is, or Badal Sharkar's theatre is, or Safdar Hashmi's theatre is. We need to remember Badal Sharkar, Utpal Dutt, Safdar Hashmi, they were quite vocal about the political content of their play. They were explicitly political plays. If we talk of political plays, these are the writers who explicitly admit that their theatre is a political theatre. But somewhere down the line, Brechtian theatre is not a political theatre. In fact, Brecht was making theatre politically. And there is a difference between being a political theatre and making theatre politically. Being a political theatre, as I told you, the content will definitely be political. Political theatre means the theatre with political content, and most of us must have read Utpal Dutt, Badul Sarkar or Safdar Hashmi. Explicit political content. Now, Brecht was not making political theatre, but he was making theatre politically. Now, in order to understand this particular thing, we need to first understand the definition of politics. So, Lenin, a very famous Marxist revolutionary, defines politics as who does what to whom. So politics is defined by Lenin as who does what to whom. जब भी आप ब्रेक्ट का प्ले पढ़ते हैं, जब भी आप ब्रेक्टियन प्ले पढ़ते हैं, तो आपको यह प्रश्न पूछना चाहिए कि इस प्ले में कौन किसके खिलाफ क्या कर रहा है और क्यों कर रहा है. हु डज व्हाट टू whom एंड फॉर व्हाट रीजन. अगर आप इस प्रश्न का उत्तर उस प्ले से निकाल लेते हैं, इफ यू फाइंड एन आंसर टू दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन, हु डज व्हाट टू whom एंड फॉर व्हाट रीजन, आई थिंक you will understand what politics is. In fact, an apparently apolitical play, एक ऐसा नाटक जो कहता हो कि I am not about politics. You need to understand कि representation कभी भी neutral नहीं हो सकता है. जो डायरेक्टर या जो नाटककार ये कहते हैं कि मेरे नाटक में मैं पॉलिटिक्स का इस्तेमाल नहीं करता हूं, मेरा नाटक अपॉलिटिकल है, वो एक्चुअली झूठ बोल रहे हैं. क्योंकि उस अपॉलिटिकल नाटक में भी कुछ आइडियोलॉजीज होती हैं, उसमें भी पॉलिटिकल अंडरकरेंट होता है. एंड दिस इज व्हाट ब्रेक्ट इज ट्राइंग टू शो अस, एंड दिस इज व्हाट मेकिंग थिएटर पॉलिटिकली इज. यू नीड टू क्वेश्चन योरसेल्फ व्हेन यू सी अ पर्टिकुलर प्ले, हु डज व्हाट टू whom एंड फॉर व्हाट रीजन. एंड दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन इज कॉन्सिक्वेंटली अबाउट पावर, लॉ, ethics, economics, and you will find that politics is an undercurrent that runs through all of them. You cannot be apolitical. Man is personal is politics. हमारे जीवन में जो भी होता है उसमें politics है. The relationship between a father and mother is a political relationship. Politics उसमें भी है. Politics का मतलब ये नहीं है कि I have to be a member of a particular party. Politics is ingrained in our day-to-day life, in each and every relationship that we have. ठीक है? So the question is consequently about power, law, ethics, economics, and politics is the overarching term that runs through all of them. So Brecht thus wants to craft forms of drama that can point to the political in the most apparently unpolitical of situations in order to alert the spectator that even these things could change in a changed society. ठीक है? Political undercurrent हर प्ले के नीचे ही होता है. अगर कोई ये कहता है कि अपॉलिटिकल है, उसमें भी एक पॉलिटिक्स है. माने इफ यू गो थ्रू अ ब्रेक्टियन प्ले, यू विल फाइंड दैट इन अ ब्रेक्टियन थिएटर, टू लवर्स किसिंग ईच अदर बिकम्स पॉलिटिकल. बिकॉज टू लवर्स किसिंग ईच अदर बिकम्स पॉलिटिकल. कैसे? बिकॉज ये जो सपोज रास्ते पे खड़े होके, किसी पार्क में खड़े होके, टू लवर्स आर किसिंग ईच अदर, बॉय एंड अ गर्ल आर किसिंग ईच अदर. तो देयर बिहेवियर टुवर्ड्स ईच अदर विल बी इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय देयर सोशल क्लास and the role of gender. You cannot negate the social class from which these two people have come from. You cannot negate the role of gender also. Now suppose two boys are kissing each other, that means the society allows them to do that. So it talks a lot about society. It talks a lot about the role of gender. Definitely desire is one of the things, but social class, gender play a very important role. So two lovers kissing each other becomes political also. Okay. So making theatre politically is about, you need to question yourself. When you read a Brechtian play or you watch play, you need to understand that making theatre politically is about who does what to whom and for what reason. If you find an answer to this particular question, that means you have understood what Brecht was trying to do. He was making theatre politically. And as I told you earlier, representation is never neutral. ठीक है? We need to understand, थोड़ी देर पहले I was talking about character. Now we need to understand, to Brecht, a figure is something that is unfixed and flexible. Now Brecht draws a distinction between a figure and a character. Character का definition कुछ और है, figure का definition कुछ और है. A figure is something that is unfixed, flexible. फिगर जो है, अगर आप उसका डेफिनेशन देखते हैं डिक्शनरी में, तो आपको पता चलेगा कि फिगर अनफिक्स्ड है, चेंज होता रहता है, फ्लेक्सिबल है. लेकिन कैरेक्टर का डेफिनेशन अगर आप देखेंगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि कैरेक्टर एक डेफिनेट होता है, परसिस्टेंट क्वालिटीज होते हैं, मतलब शुरू से लेके लास्ट तक वो उन्हीं क्वालिटीज को लेके मूव करता है. तो दिस इज द बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ फिगर एंड अ कैरेक्टर. फिगर चेंज होता रहता है, फ्लेक्सिबल है, कैरेक्टर चेंज नहीं हो सकता है. ठीक है. अ फिगर इज नॉट अ फिगर इन आइसोलेशन, बट ही और शी इज व्हाट ही और शी इज इन रिलेशन टू समवन एल्स. नॉट टेक लेडी मैकबेथ फॉर एग्जांपल. हम लोगों को क्लास में पढ़ाया जाता है कि लेडी मैकबेथ कैरेक्टराइजेशंस के बारे में पढ़ाया जाता है. इनफैक्ट मोस्ट ऑफ आवर क्रिटिकल बुक्स टॉक ऑफ कैरेक्टराइजेशन, द कैरेक्टर ऑफ मैकबेथ, द कैरेक्टर ऑफ लेडी मैकबेथ. लेडी मैकबेथ, गोइंग बाय द डेफिनेशन ऑफ अ फिगर एंड अ कैरेक्टर, वी फाइंड दैट लेडी मैकबेथ को आप कैरेक्टर नहीं बोल सकते हैं. लेडी मैकबेथ एक फिगर है, क्योंकि इफ यू हैव रेड मैकबेथ यू नो दैट द लेडी मैकबेथ काइंड ऑफ चेंजेस बिफोर देयर. माने यू कैन डिवाइड लेडी मैकबेथ्स कैरेक्टराइजेशन इनटू टू हाफ्स. द फर्स्ट हाफ, बिफोर द मर्डर ऑफ डंकन, शी इज अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग लेडी, and then after the murder of Duncan, slowly but surely she moves towards her death. So there is a change that comes over her. And going by the definition of a character, character का मतलब होता है something definite. She remains strong throughout, but that is not the case. So Lady Macbeth is not a character according to Brecht. She is a figure. So whenever we are reading a Brechtian play, we need to understand that Brecht is against the use of the word character. He is more in favor of the use of the word figure, because figure is something that is unfixed and flexible, which changes according to specific situation. Lady Macbeth changes according to a particular situation or specific situations. So Brecht is not that concerned with the psychology of a character. As I told you, he is not interested in an individual character. He invites actors to explore the figure's behavior in context from the outside and understand relationship. A figure is susceptible to changes in circumstances and environment in opposition to a character that exists as a stable entity independent of social context. So a character exists as a stable entity. A figure is susceptible to change. And Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, or in fact most of the characters whom we have actually called characters, these are not characters according to Brecht. These are all figures, because they are susceptible to change in circumstances and environment, whereas on the other hand a character is a stable entity independent of social context. So with this we come to the end of the part 1 lecture series on Brecht. In our next session we will be dealing with some of the core concepts of Brechtian theatre. So you are free to knock me at my Gmail address if you have any queries regarding Brechtian theatre. If you want help on Brechtian theatre, you can mail me, or if you have any queries, you feel free to knock me at Jasmeet, JASMEET12340 @gmail.com. So thank you for listening to this lecture. Since we are going through a very critical times, get yourself vaccinated, be safe, and keep others safe. Thank you. Goodbye.